Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning or Final Reckoning? Hello there, namaste. So this is hopefully the final Mission Impossible film, and I gotta say, I know there are a lot of people who are like, this shouldn't be here. What shouldn't be the case is it shouldn't be two films. It shouldn't have been split into two films. It feels like, I'll say what the issue is. It feels like they were trying to force a backstory for the IMF. It feels like Gabriel and Ethan Hunt had a backstory. It feels like, but it's like in this film, it's like, you know what? We realize that really serves no purpose, let's not put it in. And it just goes back to the same issue I had with number 3, where they literally had something that was just there to be there. Now we have the new mystery box of what was Ethan Hunt's origin story. But this film brings in like a cast from the first film. It brings in and references everything that's gone on. It finally answers the question that J.J. Abrams couldn't answer himself, because this person's like, yeah, that's super annoying going back to it. Let's answer it, have it actually be useful in this film. So we find out what the rabbit's foot is. We find out what the rabbit's foot is, and I'm like, thank goodness, because I was looking at the popcorn buckets, and it's like, hopefully it has to do with the rabbit's foot. Hopefully they finally answer that, what, 13, 14, 15-year-old question? But the world is at war with each other. The AI unit has been taking over nuclear silos, and everyone's at war because the entity has kept them all afraid of each other. Well, we can't have the entity strike everyone, so we'll strike all the other nuclear sites. It's just, all this stuff is very tense and everything, and I enjoy that, even though a lot of it just feels like, okay, but I was like, you have to shut off your brain for these films. You have to. Grace in this film actually serves a purpose. I feel like if they would have just not done Dead Reckoning, linked Final Reckoning and Dead Reckoning together, cut out an hour, maybe 2, and had like a 4-hour long film, maybe 3-hour-and-a-half film, in total, it would have been far more enjoyable. I hate it when they split up a story into 2 parts, and then the first part becomes a piece of trash, because everything's in the second part. And I was of the hope that everyone would die for like saving everything, like it would lead to the safety of everyone, because that you make the ultimate sacrifice. But no, it doesn't do that. Everyone it's like, dude, I would have enjoyed like Ethan Hunt falls, Benji's stabbed, Luther explodes. Just all this stuff would have been nice, and it would have hit far harder. All we get is a message at the end, and I'm like, yeah, maybe if the Hunt had broken his legs entirely on the fall, and he's like, if they do a sequel, he's just like the head of the team. He becomes the Charlie from Charlie's Angels. He becomes the M from 007. He becomes that kind of character, the one in the background who dictates, because Tom Cruise is too old for these roles. Sure, he can still pull it off, but you see from the 5th film to the 6th film, or the 6th to the 7th, there are too many of these films, he completely changes. His face goes all droopy with old age, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's old age, but it's like, well, why are you doing these action films? Well, there's no more time for this. I gotta be honest, one of the reasons I really like this film is because I just went through watching 1, 2, 3, what was Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout, Dead Reckoning, I think that's all of them, to Final Reckoning, and watching them all, you slowly see the little sprinkles of references to the first film, references to the other films. No one ever references the second or third films ever. I think one thing that could have been done as an origin story is how the girl from the second film died. I think that would have been a good way to link in the second film, because the second film is like, it's only shown in images. It really serves no purpose. But I'm gonna be honest, the reason why I liked it, it's I just watched all the films and I'm like, oh, I recognize him. Yes, he is in Alaska. He is stuck there since then. Aw, he's married. Aw, they gotta do this. And Ethan Hunt is split up from his team, having to recruit everyone. There is a date written on a piece of paper for a captain of a ship, and I know the date has to do with when the first film came out or something, but I have no clue what it has to do with why she helped him. All she says is like, someone important of mine died that day. But do we know who? We realized why that one guy was hunting him, because his father was Jim from the first film. And it's just like, there's a lot of stuff that you really need the homework for if you haven't seen them in 30 years. A lot of people skip the first film. I freaking love the first film. But this film is such a reference to the first film, you have to watch it. Most people watch 4, 5, 6. Those are the ones that are really good. Everyone skips 1, 2, 3. And I don't blame them for skipping 3, because it really does start up on 4, but you can't skip 1. But honestly, other than the fact that I had seen all the films in the past 2 weeks, I would be kind of like, I don't care for it. Why do I need to watch homework for all this? I enjoy the first film. So going back to watch the first film as homework isn't a big deal for me. I wouldn't mind that. I could easily watch the first film, watch, 5 and 6? 5 and 6, where it's basically about his enemy, maybe 4, include 4, and then you go on to the final one. Then you skip Dead Reckoning, serves no purpose, because they still reference everything else in the first 5 minutes. Also, the editing in this film, there is something about it that really doesn't work, because they keep trying to do parallels, not really parallels, they're just doing one person's talking, and then they flash back to the part where he already knew what they were talking about, and it's confusing. The only time that really back and forth worked for me is when Ethan Hunt's crew is talking about what they need to do, and Ethan Hunt is talking about what he needs to do with the captain of the ship. And it works there because he's saying something, she asks a question, and then it's Simon Pegg saying something, Benji saying something, answering the question, and then the Gale or someone else says something, and then guess what? It's Ethan Hunt that answers the question. That's the part I did, but in the beginning, it was just like, why is Gabriel telling him he obviously already knows, because Luther told him that. And why is Ethan Hunt acting surprised by what Gabriel's telling him when he clearly already knows, because Luther told him that? And it was just very weird, especially in the beginning. In the beginning, it just really didn't fit at all. The editing, I was just like, ooh, this is bad. This just doesn't work here. This doesn't work. And then they kept doing flashbacks to Luther while he's in like his hospital bed. It's just a lot of it was there. It's just like, there are better ways of doing it where it feels richer and it feels just better. The fact that he's hearing the same thing twice because he heard it from Luther beforehand, and now Gabriel's telling it didn't work there. Either have Luther explain it to him before, then he walks into Gabriel and he goes like, yeah, I'm well aware of the situation. Instead of us having to hear it twice from 2 different angles, and Ethan Hunt is surprised each time. Yeah, really the only time that actually worked was with the dialogue when they were 2 separate parties, or when Ethan Hunt was alone, and then his party was alone, dealing with various people, and they're talking the same thing out. That was like the only time I was like, oh, this is where they meant to put that kind of editing. They also introduced a brand new feature to these films where the person who defuses the bombs can't survive the blast, because no matter what, it's still going to explode, but in their face, saving everyone else but killing themselves. Only for the very end of the film, where someone who literally outright says he has no clue what he's doing figures out that, oh, as long as you cut it in 3 places at the same time, you have time to run to safety. It's just like, when you give thought to these, it's annoying. But I had fun with the film. I won't say it's a great film. For me, it really ended with fallout, even though I still had issues with having his wife alive. Having his wife be killed off in the line of duty, never bringing her back, is a good sacrifice he's had to make. And he still does everything that must be done, trying to keep his team alive, even if it risks the AI unit being released to the world. But how did the AI's source code end up in the Sevastopol submarine? We have no clue how that happened. They keep saying something about how the US was testing it, and then it turned on them, and then it got loose into the world in the algorithm, and it's a lot of hoopla, a lot of hooey, a lot of word garbage that they just throw. And I'm like, how, just, did you download it to the Sevastopol? Is it actually that thing? How did Luther know he could design a puck his magnum opus to it just what? Are you telling me Gabriel was wearing that bomb around his neck the entire time? And even if he used it, it wouldn't have worked because it would have... There's a lot of little things. Yes, I prefer to shut off my brain on this one just because it references the first one, which most of the others don't. Most of the others pretend that the first one didn't exist, and the first one's the best. The best, and I will fight everyone on that. Thank you all for watching. Talk to you next time. Toodles.
You guys got a video? Why is it so bad?
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Where's that?